Greetings and welcome to In-Depth. I'm Dike Rostant. From Lord Robert Baden-Powell to now, the Scout movement exists to raise the capacity, capability, and humanity of societies impacted by it. Now, Founders Day was recently observed, and the National Scout Commissioner, Mark Ainsley John, he joins us to share more insight around the day and issues beyond that. Welcome, NSC. How are you and how was Founders Day for you?
Hi, DK. How are you doing? Thank you for having me. Founders Day was wonderful. We had a weekend of activities that wrapped up a week-long series of events that marked the birthday of our founder, Lord Baden-Powell of Gilwell. And we inducted a Chief Scout during one of those days of activities this year.
And looking at Chief Scout, when you say Chief Scout, because I've seen presidents doing things, being part of activities and initiatives, but in terms of saying, okay, well, there's a Chief Scout who's installed. You said that the last one was in 1977?
Yes. Ellis Clark, sorry. So Ellis Clark was invested as our Chief Scout on the same grounds of President's House in 1977, 47 years ago. And we thought it fitting to ask Her Excellency to be invested at the same venue, especially because we were celebrating the 95th anniversary of Cub Scouting in Trinidad and Tobago. And Cub Scouting actually began at President's House, because the first Cub Scout leader in the country was actually the sister of the governor at the time, Lady Mona Bayat. So in wrapping up the celebrations for the 95th anniversary, we had a conversation with Her Excellency and we asked whether we could have the investiture ceremony as well as combine it with the celebrations of the 95th anniversary of Cub Scouting in Trinidad and Tobago.
And how important is it to have this to say, okay, well, the Chief Scout has been invested? Is that a mark of prestige? Is it, some people say it's good fortune? What kind of impact and significance is that?
Well, the members of the organization all get invested. Every individual who becomes a member of the Scout movement gets invested. And they are presented with the symbols of the organization. The most salient symbol would be the neck kerchief, which is what I am wearing. And so Her Excellency was presented with one of those and also pledged to do the things that Scouts would do. You know, in her speech, she said that she was going to be a champion for the organization, but she also, through the simple act of being invested, showed the nation that she was willing to do the same things that the young people are willing to do. You know, work towards ensuring that we do our duty to God and to our country and to help other people, and to keep the laws of the Scout movement as well. Having a Chief Scout, sorry.
No, man, and having a Chief Scout, you were saying something, because we're also looking at some footage of the president and her husband engaging with Scouts on the day.
Correct. And so the Chief Scout is, I suppose, our most visible personality, and having the highest office of the land lend its support to the Scout movement tells the country that this organization is a valuable one that can do what it says it does, which is to create in young people active citizens. And the President of the Republic, being the head of state, lending support to our organization, does say to the country and to the world that the Scout movement is the organization that you should be involved in.
But looking at those timeless values of Scouting in terms of integrity, service, camaraderie, What are some of the things that happen after or go through the year that we can look forward to on the calendar? Or is it a matter of, even before looking for those days, what are some of the values that are instilled into the Scouts, and what are some of the ways that this takes place?
Well, we have what we call the Scout Promise and the Scout Law, and every member of the organization pledges to, through the promise, to observe the laws. And the Cub Scouts that start at the age of 7, the Scouts that start at the age of 10 and a half, and the 15-year-olds that start adventure scouting, they all make this promise, as well as the leaders of the organization. And the promise is simply that you want to do your best to do your duty to God and to your country and to help other people and to keep the Scout laws. You know, a Cub Scout, in terms of the laws that the Cub Scout needs to uphold, is literally doing a good turn every day. And what is a good turn? You know, apart from doing your chores at home or doing something that benefits you as an individual, we are encouraging young people to do things for other people without any sort of reciprocity, without any sort of payment. And so we begin creating in young people altruistic service to others from that young age, from the age of 7 onwards. And then when we enter into the Scout section, we start talking about getting a young person to understand what is trustworthiness, what it means to be trusted, what it means to have respect for themselves, what it means to have respect for others, what it means to make good use of one's time, and what it means to be careful of one's possessions and properties, as well as what it means to have respect for others, all wrapped up within the same Scout promise of having one's duty to God as foremost, one's duty to country as another pillar, and one's duty to others as another pillar as well. And so when you take all of that wrapped up together and you have a young person go through the activities and the actions of the Scout movement, by the time they become adults and they become parents, they're able to instill in their children the same values, but they're also able to instill in the individuals that they meet the same values that they would have learned as a young person, and thereby creating the better society that we talk about within the Scout movement. Because we talk about creating active citizens, but also changing the world so that the world can become a better place for everybody in it.
And I appreciate that fact in terms of, like, saying, if I interact with this person who represents the Scout movement, there are certain things that I expect from that person. And I also take the point where you're saying, if the person with the highest with title in the land is the chief scout, it feels as though there's more than the trickle-down effect. And even in the footage that we would have shown of Sir Ellis Clark as chief scout wearing uniform, we're seeing that he was doing that wearing a cast, right?
Yes, that is correct. So Excellency broke his foot before the investiture ceremony. And, you know, they asked him whether he wanted to cancel it or not. And he said, no. He said, definitely not. I want to show the nation the value of the Scout movement, and we are going to proceed with the investiture ceremony. And he did. And he also presented young people with awards at that point in time, as well as adults with awards at that point in time, showing his commitment to the Scout movement, but also showing the nation at that point in time that as president of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, this organization is such a valuable one that I'm not going to let anything impede me from becoming the Chief Scout officially and doing my duties as Chief Scout to these individuals, these young people and adults who have contributed and continue to contribute to the development of Trinidad and Tobago as a society.
And one of the duties that I need to pay attention to is looking at time. So we take a short break, we come back, continue speaking with the National Scout Commissioner, Mark Ainsley John. Stay with us, we'll return with more. Welcome back. We are speaking with the National Scout Commissioner, Mark Ainsley John. We're doing so a little bit after Founders Day and the observances leading to that day in question. But I want to ask though, because very much so building these values, inculcating these values in members, it feels as though one of those things is that physical face-to-face interaction. So I want to ask, what does scouting look like? What is the lay of the land now with scouting in Trinidad and Tobago NSC?
Well, we're rebuilding our organization, and I suppose, like with every non-governmental organization, we would have had our ebbs and flows. And at this point in time, we've had, because we've changed the way in which we do things, and because we've changed the program that we offer to our young people, we have experienced a resurgence in a lot of young people contacting us and asking us how they can become members of the Scout movement. You know, we posted our trip to South Korea, where we took 31 young people to South Korea, and because of that sharing via the 21st century technology via the internet, a lot of teenagers reached out to us and said, hey, we would like to have that experience. How can we become involved in that? We shared our young people going up to Kora River just before the December holidays, cleaning the river. And we had families reaching out to us and say, thank you very much for doing that for us. And the next time that you all are doing something like that, we would like to help. We would like to participate. Even the footage from this Founders Day weekend, we've had young people and parents asking, how can I get involved in the Scout movement? How can I meet the Chief Scout? What does it take for a young person to become a member so that they can have the same experiences as these young people that you have shown us via the social media and the internet and our websites,
And
as well as on the TV and on television?
and you raise the interesting point of using different platforms to get the message of scouting out to see, so that people can see actual faces as opposed to just saying, well, scouts, and seeing people in uniform, people doing things. But how important is it, because you're talking about different ways that you're doing things, partnering with other entities, so that as opposed to just people seeing scouts themselves, people are seeing that scouts are interacting with other agencies and getting that message out like that? Because I think even was it river patrols?
Adopt a River. It was Adopt a River.
Yes.
The Adopt a River program. Yes, yes. It's extremely important. As an NGO, we need individuals in the wider society to help us achieve our goals. As an NGO, and we're non-for-profit, we're not profit, and we are not profit organization. Sorry, Dike. And what that means is that we require partners to assist us in delivering the program and giving the program to the young people. And so the Adopt a River program, for instance, backstory to that, we have included the Sustainable Development Goals as part of our program within the Scout movement on a global level as well as on a local level. And what that means is that we are encouraging young people to look at life on land as well as the environment and work towards making those two things sustainable for Trinidad and Tobago. And so we've challenged our Cub Scouts, which are the 7 to 10-year-olds, the Scouts and the Venture Scouts and leaders, to find ways in which that can happen. And as an entity, as an organization, what we've done is also looked at other agencies that can facilitate this for us so that they can bring the education, they can bring the opportunities, they can bring the resources so that we could teach our members, both young people and adults, the way in which they can achieve the goals of environmental sustainability, creating a better world for the humans as well as for the animals and plants that exist in our globe.
And we started off, we spoke about it a little bit, we spoke about it plenty in the first half of the conversation. But I'm wondering what happened between 1977 and this period of time with Chief Scouts tanks. And I ask the question because I think there would have been engagements, at least with Excellencies Nur Hassan Ali, Paula May Weeks. So what is that like? Is it that they're just there at an event, but they're not the Chief Scout?
So they are the Chief Scouts. All of our presidents have served the organization and have served the movement. Every single president from Sir Ellis Clark up to our current president has assisted us, has shared with our young people, have participated in our events, have presented awards to our leaders and our Cubs and Scouts and Venture Scouts. They've all worked with the organization to further its ideals. Not all of them have worn the uniform or parts of the uniform.
Okay, very glad to hear that. And then we see you with Her Excellency Paula May Week, the 6th President of Trinidad and Tobago of the Republic.
Correct.
But what does it feel like to say, okay, well, this person has taken this responsibility and they're looking at the potential of the scouting movement in Trinidad and Tobago to better individuals and therefore the nation as a whole?
Well, the Chief Scout is our Chief Ambassador. The Chief Scout is that person that will speak for us to the nation and say to the nation that you need to get involved in the Scout movement. But the Chief Scout is also our own. The Chief Scout is the Scout movement in Trinidad and Tobago. And the Chief Scout is the one that will come to the groups and have conversations to inspire and change lives. Every single young person and adult that was present at the Chief Scouts investiture on Saturday morning left inspired. She shook hands, she and His Excellency shook hands. They engaged in conversation, they participated, and a former scout of mine said that he was moved almost to tears, because he remembered his days of participating in these activities, and he reached out to me to find out how could he contribute to the organization now so that more young people can be involved in the Scout movement, just like he was, but also like what these young people experienced at this Founders Day. So the Chief Scout is our Chief Ambassador, but she's also ours. And she's also the individual that will come to our groups and come and meet with our young people and inspire our young people to fulfill their promise, to fulfill their Scout promise.
And we have about 30 seconds more, so I'll ask you to close possibly contact information as well. But we also saw that the husband of the Chief Scout was there in full attendance also. But the last 30 seconds is yours.
Sure, and I would like to say that we would welcome all of Trinidad and Tobago to become members of the Scout movement, from the President of the Republic to the Prime Minister, to ministers of government, to heads of business, to other NGOs. Let's get involved in developing young people so that our society becomes the best society and a beacon of what a society should be to the globe, to every single country on this planet. And how we can do so, you could contact us via Scouts TT on all our social media. You could send us a message via our social media. Everything is Scouts TT.
We want to thank you very much, National Scout Commissioner Mark Ainsley John. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, this has been In Depth with me, Dike Rostant. Thank you so much for joining us.